And we're back with another Among Us video. Now, anyone can pick up and play Among Us, but it takes a real pro to understand the game's nuances and navigate through the maps. So this time, we're diving into 10 tips that'll make you a better player in the game. Because after all, what's the point of playing if you're not winning? So let's get into 10 Among Us tips that'll make you a pro player. Stick together. Starting things off, this tip over here comes in handy, especially during the beginning of a game. Crewmates that wander off on their own and into dead-end rooms are usually the first to get slaughtered. Remember folks, there's power in numbers. If it worked for Jon Snow, it'll work for you. By sticking together, imposters won't dare to touch you, as they will surely be seen by other crewmates. Just make sure that everyone around you is completing tasks with the group. Wouldn't want a second imposter trying to blend in with you. Here's another pro tip for you, free of charge. Sticking together also has its benefits, as groups of players can use each other as alibis for whenever a crewmate outside of the group is found dead. Now let's move on to a tip that proves that patience is a virtue. Relax, don't do it. We've all felt it before, the haste in our adrenaline when that pregame menu appears to let us know that we've been selected to be an imposter. Few things can compete with that feeling, but it's important to remember that Among Us is a strategic game. Many players let that rush overtake them and they start making easy mistakes as they eagerly search for kills. Patience is key. In fact, it's the most important key in the world. Try to remain calm and cunning as you execute your kills. Make sure the coast is clear before hunting your prey. You wouldn't want another crewmate walking in on you during the act. That would spell disaster for you, and well, you'll get eliminated. Speaking of getting eliminated, check out our next tip to make sure you'll always stay in the game. Do your job. Despite the fact that completing your tasks is the main objective for the crewmates, many players neglect this important aspect of the game in favor of roaming the map, hoping to find a dead body or an imposter in the act. Not only is this a bad strategy for you, as people may look at you as sus, but it's also a bad strategy for your team. People often forget that by completing enough tasks, you can win the game without booting off a single imposter. You don't even have to be alive in order to complete tasks. Ghosts are free to roam and do tasks as well. In doing so, you raise the task meter rather quickly, putting pressure on the imposters to kill crewmates, forcing them to act sloppy in the process. Vent it out. One of the imposter's greatest allies has to be those handy vents that are scattered across each map. Seriously, they're like magic portals that'll make the game way easier. It allows for players to drop in from one location and pop out another with incredible speed. This is especially useful for you when you want to make a quick getaway after murdering someone. By knowing your routes, you can strategically decide where the best location it is for you to appear after leaving one end of the map. Just be careful that there aren't any crewmates around when you hop out. Remember, patience, people. Your kill cooldown doesn't move while you're in the vents, so unless you're able to kill, it's best you pop out in a place where there's no crewmates lurking around, so be sure to keep an eye out. Watch for people faking tasks. Part of being an imposter is blending in with other crewmates. With that in mind, it's important to keep a lookout for any imposters that are faking tasks. It's quite easy to get wrapped up in completing your own tasks that you fail to notice what other people are doing. If you suspect a player of being an imposter, watch to see them do a task. If the task meter does not go up after they appear to be done, then there's a good chance they just might be sus. Just don't linger around them too long if you two are alone. The imposter might be waiting for the right opportunity to slit your throat. Step out of the spotlight. We get it. It's a lot more comforting when, as an imposter, you have another fellow imposter running around in the game to help out in killing crewmates. Despite how comforting it might feel to have a friend, especially in these times of social distancing, it's just as important to know when to let that friend go. Although defending a fellow imposter can be important in times, in cases where their cover is clearly blown, it's necessary to let them go. By defending an obviously guilty imposter, you run the risk of bringing the spotlight onto yourself. And we wouldn't do that, would we? There's also an important factor during the voting process. It's best if you vote your fellow imposter out instead of being the one and only guy in the game who doesn't. You can't single yourself out over here. Simply put, don't draw attention to yourself under any circumstances. Be as neutral as possible and feel free to backstab your fellow imposters, even if they're your real friends. Sure, it's a bit cruel, but do what it takes. Cameras. When passing a camera, look to see if there's a blinking red light on them. If that's the case, it means that someone is looking through them in the security room. If you notice the light suddenly stops blinking, it means that whoever was looking has stopped. Immediately rush towards security to see if anyone has died. Sometimes it means that someone has left, but other times it may mean that the observer has been killed. If that's the case, try to remember if you saw any other players passing by nearby. The security vent leads to security and medbay, so see if anyone is coming from those rooms too, or don't. Sometimes it's best to step away from danger and mind your own business. Alright, before we move on to our top 3, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're loving these pro player tips, why not hit that notification button? It'll really help us out. This is Sabotage. As a sole imposter, if you found yourself in a situation where you're left with 2 crewmates after a voting process, you have to assume that both of them are onto you. The best course of strategy here is to immediately sabotage, preferably oxygen or reactor. That way crewmates are not able to call an emergency meeting until they fix the sabotage. Make sure to call the sabotage right before the button becomes available to push so that you're allowed more time. This gives you enough space for your kill cooldowns to run out, allowing you to kill one of the crewmates and secure a win before they're able to run back to call an emergency meeting. Vote right. A common trick for a bold imposter is to try and separate the crewmates so that they turn on each other. During meetings, imposters may falsely accuse someone of being sus and in turn get the rest of the crew to essentially execute a kill for them. That's why it's important for each crewmate to listen to everyone's story before voting hastily. That way it allows time for the accused to explain themselves. If an imposter notices that they're playing in a game in which the fellow players are quick to vote for whoever gets blamed first, then they could use that to their advantage. It's important to create a strong dynamic where every player has a voice. After all, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Self-report. Many imposters are so concerned with making a quick getaway after executing a kill that they neglect just how useful self-reporting a body can be. By pretending that you innocently stumbled upon a body, you can gain the trust of other crew members and shift the blame off yourself. The key to this working well is to ensure that there are enough players spread apart. If enough people were moving together in a big group while you self-report, then they can serve as each other's alibis. This would make it easy for them to accuse you of being the imposter. Self-reports can be a very useful strategy, you just have to make sure that you apply it during the right time and place. Well, there you have it, folks. 10 Among Us tips that'll make you a pro player in no time. Let us know in the comments below if we missed any of your favorite tips. Be sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe so you can get the latest and greatest Among Us videos. Oh, and be sure to hit the bell icon. That way you'll know when we drop another Among Us video. Alright, we'll see you next time on Game Planet.